Hi. And welcome to Go, my favorite sports team.
No warning whatsoever. You said one thing and then you immediately jumped right into it.
We're in it, and this is time. There's no time to waste. This is Go, my favorite sports team, the premier sports podcast where we cover the best Caitlin Clark news, the most up-to-date Caitlin Clark news. And we're going to hit you hard and fast at the very end of the show with the Caitlin Clark news so we can get through the rest of the important news that we have so that you stick around. It's an engagement strategy. It's not actually at the end. It's somewhere hidden in the episode, so you have to keep listening/watching. I'm joined by Tyler.
It's me, Tyler Scheid.
He's a hobbyist in balls, sometimes holes.
I play the sports. I know the sports.
And me, I don't.
Well, sometimes when I twist your arm a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, trying to learn. Bob and Wade, they were talking about some random football, something like the boom zone, the boom team, the boom squad, the booms. The booms. It was the boom squad or something like that.
In football?
In football, it was Team Boom. Something. It was, don't look at me like that. It was like Team Boom Boom or something like that. I swear.
Was he talking about like a defense that calls themselves like the hit squad or something?
Something like that. I don't know. It was like the boom, doom, doom.
The boom
squad or something like that. And I didn't know what they were talking about.
Oh, Miami. Oh, they're talking about little kids.
No, that's not what it is. It was like
Meet Miami's boom squad. That's literally little kids.
It's not. It wasn't little kids. The Legion of Boom.
Oh, that's old Seattle.
How would you not have known boom in football if that was so obvious?
There's so many different things that existed. The Legion of Boom is back when Richard Sherman and stuff over in Seattle.
Okay, all right.
One of the most premier defenses.
Anyway, they were talking about that, and I didn't know what they were talking about.
Why'd they bring that up? That's
I don't
old
remember.
news.
It was just something random they were saying, and I don't know.
All right, well. We're here to talk about other sports other than just football. And we get to cover a really cool new and developing women's sport league.
Not yet, we don't. Listen, this may be people might see the hockey in the title and they might get excited, but we're going to fill it with small talk and we're not going to get to the hockey until the last 10 minutes, just like the original. So
okay.
All right. I got to hear something. You're going to like this one. You're going to like this one. From Boosty Starman, Tyler, your consistency is aspirational. Howdy, Tyler. Just wanted to tell you that your consistently thought-out commentary and arguments paired with your razor-sharp wit make the podcast the gem that it is. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and keeping us elegant listeners up to date on all sports things new and ancient. I listen to the podcast every Thursday while I drive the tractor at work, so I get that weekly dose of sports ball. You make working outside in the cold a little better with the laughs and insight you provide. To the master of balls and holes, thank you for giving us the #1 sports podcast in the world.
I don't know how to react to that. I'm used to the jacuzzas, not appreciation. So thank you. I'm glad you enjoy it, and I appreciate your compliments.
Yes, that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about here. All right, now, anyway, here's the jacuzzi.
All right.
Oh, wait, no, Reddit is down. Why is Reddit down?
Oh, no. It's breaking. Everything's falling apart again.
Hold on.
This is just like the hockey primer. Everything fell apart, and we barely talked about hockey.
I know. Okay, all right, here we go. Schmabloosh, says the lost one. Tyler, middle name Scheid. Is that how you spell your name? How very dare you to support my claim I'm pulling back to Season 2 to Markiplier's sport tier list. If you recall, Mark put boxing in way of life, meaning it meant a lot to him and he respected boxers. However, you've never done a boxing primer. Before you go, but we did, the Creator Clash one. Screw the Creator Clash one. That wasn't an official primer, it doesn't count. Those aren't boxers, they're YouTubers. I and many other UFC fans, my brothers, are furious and we've held our anger for too long. UFC, it's not bad.
Yeah, that's not boxing, but...
As Twisted Sister said, we're not gonna take it anymore. Make a boxing primer or our Jacuse ghost will forever be haunting you and making bees chase you.
I'd also like to point out on your tier list, the reason it got put into way of life is because in order to be a boxer, it becomes your life. To be comparable in it, to be excel in it. And also in today's day and age, a lot of actual boxing matches get overlooked for these creator fights, like the one that just happened with Mike Tyson and that other guy.
My next thing is talking about that one, right?
Yeah. And it totally, I don't know if did you see the fight at all?
No.
To me, it looked like Mike showed up in the first round and then got whispered in the ear, because I don't know if people know this in the contract. The contract got leaked. Mike only made the most amount of money if it went all 8 rounds.
Yeah.
So as much as people I think that's a loophole in fixing a fight, is based on adjusting the purse for the length of the fight. And so to me, there were numerous opportunities where Mike could have actually done some serious damage to Jake and didn't throw those punches.
Well, Chick Kestrel 17, I'm sorry, your comment was lined up here to read and it's gone. Tyler just jumped out in front of it. I'm sure there'll be a accused about that. But what Chick Kestrel was going to say was, Tyler and Mark, I really want to know your opinions on the fights for Tyson versus Paul. More specifically, the Taylor versus Serrano. I personally feel Taylor cheated and should have been disqualified, so her winning is really frustrating. I'm not super knowledgeable about boxing, so did she win fair and square? Oh, actually, it wasn't about Jake versus Tyson anyway.
Oh.
So, yeah, this is good. So what are your opinions on that? I didn't see the entire match kind of as a protest.
I didn't see either, but I saw the stats after the fact.
Was that the fight right before?
It was the co-main event.
I heard that was a really good fight, but I didn't hear anything about cheating.
So it was a rematch. Taylor apparently headbutted a number of times and got only penalized once for it, so she got a point deduction. But if you look at the stats of number of punches thrown, percentage hit, and number of contact, just based on boxing scoring in general, she shouldn't have won, because clearly her opponent landed more punches, had a 44% hit rate, and threw more punches. So she would have gotten aggressor points. She would have gotten the contact points for number of punches. And it ended up, and Taylor got a point deduction for her headbutting, and yet Taylor still ended up winning. So to me, it made no sense why that person won. Like, just without seeing the fight and just looking at those stats, it made no sense to me. But I didn't see the fight. I'll be honest also, Netflix's streaming capability was horrendous.
Yeah, apparently it was very bad, which doesn't make a lot of sense unless
they don't usually do live broadcasts. So I don't know if they had the stuff set up for the ingest rate for a live stream versus.
It's probably not even that. It's probably that their infrastructure is specialized for the type of content that is streaming as opposed to live streaming, which is a very different type of data delivery. So when you're streaming, it always allows you to buffer. So you can buffer, so it always pre-buffers. But with live stream, there's no buffering. So they probably had some code in there that was just
bogging it down.
Yeah, bogging it down, not allowing everybody, because I know they have the bandwidth for it that they just.
Oh yeah, they have the servers for sure.
So, but about the Tyson versus Paul fight, I did not watch it because I knew. Because if you've watched any of these before and after, it's the same fucking thing.
Yep.
Fuck you, you suck dick. I hate you. I'll kill you. I'll kill. It's
and then they get in the ring and they dance around.
And then it's not even that. And then after the fight, they're like, "I love you, man." Jesus Christ. I'm fine. I'm fine with amateur boxers taking it as far as they can. I'm fine with that. YouTubers, doesn't matter. I'm fine with it. This was so obviously just for show.
Yeah.
Just for show. Tyson could have killed Jake Paul if he wanted to, and he didn't want to.
Yeah, and I mean, if you look at the training videos versus what actually happened in the fight, it's pretty damn obvious.
And people were like, "Oh, he was gassed. He's old." Is how old is Mike Tyson? Let me actually
58.
58. He's 58. There are people in their 60s who run ultra marathons.
Yeah.
Conditioning is not the question here. No matter what you have, Tyson has years of instinct. He was training from boxing from when he was 12 or 13 years old.
Really young.
He's got so many instincts about it. You could tell from even just the small clips I had. He read every punch. Even the punches he took, I saw. He looks at the fist, chooses not to move. It's you cannot compare their skill, even with the age gap. I knew it would just be that way because.
Well, and then the whole thing of Tyson biting his glove, to me, that was him being like, "I don't want to kill him."
Oh no,
that's holding back.
Oh, that's actually a strategy. So
Yeah.
he was trained from his coach from a very young age to keep his gloves up. So he was taught to bite his gloves, so the glove was always be up by his mouth. So it's like it's kind of like a kind of like a muscle memory kind of thing. So the glove's up here, so he bites it, so he can keep hold of his guard always being up, because he can't bite if it's not up. So that's from his training. So that's why he does it. I wouldn't say that he probably wasn't happy to have to do that.
It looked like in the first round he was going out. He was like, I'm gonna box. And then when they hugged up, Jake said something to him.
Yeah, I saw some people giving that conjecture. I wouldn't be surprised, because if I was Jake Paul in that situation and I saw
he
Mike
looked
Tyson,
scared. He was 100% scared. I'd be scared getting into a ring with Mike Tyson.
Good Lord, if I didn't have a contract protecting me and Mike Tyson was like looking at a payday with my name written all over it on my forehead, I'd be a dead man. I'd be a dead man. I might as well just go down.
But my thing, and I talked about this in the last episode I recorded about fear, is like, as a boxer, you cannot go into the ring, and the instant you have that fear instinct, you're off your game entirely. Yeah. So like that, I had somebody argue with me, like, who wouldn't be afraid? I'm like, yes, that's true. But as an instinct, as a boxer, the instant you are afraid, you lose your technique. Your adrenaline is flowing. It's like when we talked about Alex Honnold, when you're on that wall, adrenaline is your enemy.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to get that going, because you're going to get fatigued. You're going to shake. You're going to have all these different things.
Mm-hmm.
You need to be in a state of flow where everything's like, okay, I'm just in a rhythm.
Yeah. So probably what happened if Jake Paul did say something along the lines of, hey, come on, man. Hey, come on, man. Don't you remember the contract? Come on, man.
Yeah, like, cool it off,
yeah.
Calm down.
So what I imagine what Mike Tyson probably did after that is like, okay, I just got to match his pace. The one who was gassed would have been Jake Paul. He was gassed. Mike Tyson was just matching him. Jake Paul wasn't doing anything more. And of course he wasn't. He couldn't. Not after that first round. He got knocked around, as far as I know. I didn't see the fight. I saw a few clips, tiny little things here and there.
Mike was pushing the pace and pushing him into the thing. And the whole time I was yelling, if Mike traps him in a corner and wants to throw, he's done.
Oh, one punch and he would have been done. Because
he threw 0 uppercuts, which is Mike Tyson's signature punch.
And that's the thing, is like Jake Paul was open the entire time.
Yeah.
Not the entire time. I didn't see the
There
fight,
were a lot of openings.
I'm just guessing.
Yeah.
Because this is what boxers who don't know better, who've been in YouTube boxing, like, I'm going for the haymaker. This is a death sentence. You do this, it's game over. What are you doing? You do this, it's game over. You do this with Mike Tyson, it's game over.
Yeah,
you gotta be like this. You gotta be in. You got if the tiniest gap, and it's game over if it was really him. And as we all know, the last thing to go with a man is his strength. Old man strength is a thing. And we all saw the training videos. So I knew instantly, like,
it was a show.
It was a show. So I didn't want to watch
it. And it was a horrible show. It wasn't even good.
I heard. Yeah.
Like the first round was like, okay. And then it was like, they were just walking.
Because what I imagine, Tyson just matched his pace and Paul could never have kept up.
Just disappointing. There were other fights during that lineup. Apparently were really good.
I heard. How many rounds was that fight at the end?
You talking about Tyson?
Tyson, yeah.
8 2-minute rounds. Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. So apparently, this is the biggest issue I have with it, and it has we hate gambling. Period. Gambling on sports in general, but it was highly gambled on, and so when you have something like that, how are you allowed to gamble on something that is so obviously set up to be favorable for Tyson to just stay up the entire 8 rounds?
I don't know, man. That's why sports betting should be banned.
Yeah.
It should be illegal, but whatever.
Anyway, that's enough of talking about that. We were 15 minutes in. It's time to get into hockey.
Are you sure?
I'm ready.
I got more.
No.
Caitlin Clark?
No, that's later. That's later. We already talked about that. That's a teaser. It's going to be hidden somewhere in the middle. So, Mark, we've talked briefly about hockey in the past.
Very briefly.
In different versions.
Briefly, yeah.
So, it's December, and it's time for us to dive into the winter sports again. And ice hockey is one of the first ones that comes to mind.
Uh-huh.
Unless you're like doing snowball fights, which maybe we'll talk about later.
Uh-huh.
But since our previous hockey episodes were absolutely perfect and loved by everybody, immaculate
conception.
We wouldn't even need to cover the sport again. But 2024 has been a historic year for the sport of hockey. Starting in January of this year, the Professional Women's Hockey League, or PWHL, played its first season.
Mm-hmm.
So we are now about to embark on the second season of professional women's hockey. And it's incredible. The rules are different from the NHL. A lot of things are similar. How you score goals, offsides, a lot of those things are the same. We're going to dive into the origins of it, how it differs, where you can watch, and why it's important for the success of PWHL and what it means to women's professional sports leagues in general.
Absolutely. Why?
Professional sports have been dominated by men for centuries.
Mm-hmm.
It's now becoming a thing. Caitlin Clark with the WNBA.
Yes.
The PWHL becoming a thing. Supporting these leagues is creating a greater likelihood for women to get to that equal footing level of men's sports. I mean, you're talking about how it will inspire future generations of girls and women to grow up watching a sport and be excited to be a part of sports.
Mm-hmm.
It's the issue that we had when women's sports were brought up is a lot of people weren't joining in college because there was no history. There was nobody to look up to. There was nobody to watch and be excited about. There was nothing that pulled little girls into sport other than their parents or relatives or siblings, brothers.
Mm-hmm. And now with the PHL, I'd like to introduce Baitlin Blark. Baitlin? Baitlin Blark?
There's an Emily Clark.
No!
Normally, we talk about the origins of the sports league that formed in the Victorian era. We talk about leagues that came about maybe in the early 1950s.
Did we?
We have in the past.
I don't remember it.
Cricket, rugby.
Oh, I thought you meant for
soccer.
hockey. I
No,
don't remember
not
this
hockey.
at all.
Not
This
hockey.
seems strange.
But PWHL is brand new. And so we'll be able to, as sports enthusiasts and new sports enthusiasts or people that are sports curious, to watch it actually evolve and grow over the next number of years. We've only seen one season so far. This second season starts here at the end of November. It actually just started at the time we're recording this. There have been 2 games that have been played.
Okay.
So it's the perfect time to talk about this.
Right.
Second season is already going to be longer than the first, even though no new teams were added.
That's cool.
There are talks of adding 2 new teams in the 25-26 season, so next season. But we don't know where they'll be located yet. So maybe viewership-wise, people that get excited, maybe convince your city to host a new team for the PWHL.
So are there only 6 teams?
There are only 6 teams.
Okay. Yeah, I'm surprised they went PWHL instead of just WHL.
Yeah.
Because with, like, you have the NBA and then WNBA, it's a psychological thing, but I know probably some people are like, oh, less letters is more official. And I'm like, I wonder if they would have just, like, take the P off.
I wonder
there
if there might have been something else that's a WHL.
Yeah, probably.
And so they wanted to put, and plus adding the professional level to it may be something that's also helpful.
Well, it's like people don't actually say I bet if you poll people don't even know what, like, NFL means half the time.
True.
Yeah. Or NBA. You know?
NBA, yeah.
Probably barely anybody knows.
I mean, I know all of them, but
The average Joe. The
average
Me's
Joe.
of the world.
Yeah. Not the masters of sport.
Yeah, no. But anyway, that's just a small thing.
So, Act 1,
Mm-hmm.
the origin of the PWHL.
Okay.
It's the creation of several years' efforts to unify women's ice hockey in North America. This wasn't the first attempt, actually. Originally, there was the Canadian Women's Hockey League, which was founded in 2007, but folded in 2019 due to financial instability.
Mm-hmm.
There was also the Premier Hockey Federation, formed in 2015, and was the first professional women's hockey league to provide players with salaries. I believe that ended up having some issues as well. After the collapse of the CWHL, which was the Canadian Women's Hockey League, women's hockey players formed the nonprofit Professional Women's Hockey Players Association, whose goal is to protest the working conditions in existing leagues for women's hockey, the lack of adequate pay, to advocate for the creation of a viable and economically secure future for women's hockey. And so with that, the PWHL officially began in June of 2023. When the PHF and the PWHPA combined to form this new professional women's league.
That's probably why they kept the P, is because they really, everything else has the P in it. So
Yeah, they just want the P.
Mhm.
That sounds wrong.
why just say it?
I don't know.
Why just say it, man?
This new league is backed by funding from the Los Angeles Dodgers co-owner, Mark Walter, and his wife, Kimbra Walter. Another key player in its creation is former tennis star Billie Jean King, a champion of gender equality in sports, who also founded the Women's Tennis Association in 1973. Now, the PWHL started off with 6 teams, and they only just now received their official mascot-like names this year.
Oh.
They originally were just named after their cities. You had Boston, Minnesota, New York, Montreal, Ottawa, and Toronto. So 3 in the US, 3 in Canada. Now they have their names. The Boston team is now the Boston
Allow
Fleet.
me.
Okay.
You got the Boston Fleet. You got the Minnesota Frost. You got the Montreal Victoire. 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 Victor. You're French. Why don't you read it?
Victoire.
Yes, Victoire. The New York Sirens, the Ottawa Charge, the Toronto Scepters. Scepters is an interesting one. Is there any? How many teams are named after like an inanimate object?
A few.
Name 2.
Oklahoma City Thunder.
It's close.
Miami Heat.
No, the Scepter's like a whacking stick.
Oh, well, I'm thinking of ones that are animals.
Not animal.
Senators? No, that's people.
Scepters. Yeah.
Scepters.
See, that's why I think it's unique. It's like I don't know of many, but I don't know what.
I mean, sirens is well, sirens could be the like the mermaids as
I'm
opposed
almost
to
positive that's what they're.
Okay,
for.
I was thinking of the
Like
sirens
the-
for like tornadoes.
Like the. I mean, also cool. They probably do that when they have a game.
I mean, that's a great sound, you know.
I want to know how to pronounce the Montreal Victoire.
Spell it out and ask it your laptop to pronounce it.
Name. In France, it is pronounced as Victoire.
Victoire.
I was right.
You were
the first time.
Yeah, very first time.
Victoire.
Victoire.
Wow.
I mean, it makes sense. Montreal, I believe, is in French Canada. French Canada. I don't know how to say
French Canada.
French Canada.
No, I was making fun of you.
No, French Canada.
Oh, okay, it's French Canada. Shut up, Canadians. We know.
All right. The inaugural season began in January 2024 and ended in May. Each of the 6 teams played a 24-game regular season schedule, and then the top 4 teams qualified for the playoffs, which were made of 2 rounds, best of 5 game series.
Wait, so there's top 4 teams for the playoff, but there's only 6.
Correct. So this
wouldn't
is
they just
in
be
the
like
inaugural
playoffs?
season.
Why wouldn't it just be everyone's in the playoff and then they play off?
That would make sense. But then, I don't know. They just were like, we don't need to worry about the bottom 2 teams.
Well, then you got semifinals, finals. You know, it would
It
work,
makes more
right?
sense. I agree with you. They should have like at least a 1-game play-in for the bottom 2.
I guess because they have 6, it wouldn't subdivide
Yeah, they'd have
well.
you'd have to have the 1 and 2 seeds, and then the other 2 would play each other, and then they'd play whoever was on the
Oh,
bottom.
yeah, you just do a loser's bracket. Yeah.
Yeah. No, you don't even need a loser's bracket. You just have the bottom 4 teams play against each other, and then they play the 1 and 2 teams.
Why don't they just all play each other a bunch and you average?
Why don't they all just make a giant hockey rink and then play against each other at all the same time with
Oh.
all the goals on there at the same time, and whoever has the least amount of goals scored on them wins?
It's Chinese hockey.
Yeah.
So you got like the 6 and the audience is like everywhere in between them. That would be awesome.
No, the audience is on the court as well as barriers and blockades.
No, that's stupid. Come on. Think.
Sorry.
No one will ever
And then
take it
there's one
seriously.
giant hockey puck that's just the size of the goal, and if you can score that one, you're an automatic victor in
I don't
first
know if
seed.
you've ever played Chinese checkers, man.
I have played Chinese checkers.
What is the
It's been
actual
a long
name for
time.
that? I'm sure it's not Chinese checkers, but
Yeah, I'm maybe it's just the word checkers in Chinese.
it's a German game.
Really?
Sternhalm.
Then why is it called Chinese checkers?
I don't know.
It should be German checkers.
I don't know.
That's messed up.
It's got a worse name.
Oh, really?
I'm not going to say it.
That's fair. Just know it has a worse name.
Oh, no, wait, maybe it's not.
What?
Just shut up.
Okay.
Delete me from the podcast.
All right. So the champion of the PWHL series,
Yeah.
the playoff series, receives the Walter Cup as opposed to the Stanley Cup.
Who's Walter?
Walter's the Dodgers co-owner, the family that helped fund the league forming.
Named after a man. I mean, I guess he did help.
I mean, his
found it.
wife, it could be named after his wife, Kimbra.
Is Walter the last name?
Yeah, Kimbra
Oh, okay.
Walter.
Well, then, yeah, that's probably.
Yeah.
Whatever. I'm not really mad about it.
So it's the equivalent of the Stanley Cup in the NHL. And the first PWHL champion was the Minnesota Frost.
Wow.
The most right on the border between Canada and the U.S.
Minnesota basically is Canada.
Yeah, I know. We tell Molly that she's Canadian all the time.
Is she?
Well, I mean, we joke about it. She's from Minnesota.
She's basically Canadian.
Wade, confirm this for us, please.
Wade.
All right, Act 2, the rules.
Mm-hmm.
Although the PWHL's game rules largely mirror those of the NHL, I'm going to talk about the exceptions.
Yeah.
They have a jailbreak rule. What do you think this is?
Okay, so I know in hockey from our incredible primer that people go in the penalty box.
Uh-huh.
So I'm guessing when one of them catches the puck, you get one out of your penalty box.
It's like dodgeball.
That's what I'm saying.
So what it actually is, and I really like this rule,
Mm-hmm.
if a team that is shorthanded, basically they have a player in the penalty box, scores a goal, their person can come out of the penalty box. So it makes it so that the man down team will actually play aggressively to score a goal as opposed to just icing the puck to the opposite end of the field and playing defense until time runs out.
Okay, I do appreciate that one. That one's interesting because that does encourage more competitive gameplay. I like that. That's nice.
There's like a risk reward.
How is it wrong and I'm stupid? Tell
No,
me
there
how
isn't.
I'm wrong and I'm stupid.
No, I think it's a great rule.
Oh,
In
I'm
fact,
an idiot.
people are petitioning for the NHL to adopt this rule.
That sounds good.
I think a lot of people really like this rule. I like the rule because it creates this opportunity of, hey, our defense might not be the greatest, but if we score a goal with our great offensive players, despite being a man down, we're going to get that player back.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
The PWHL point system is also different in determining their standings. It's a lot like soccer. Teams receive 3 points if they win a game in regulation time. It doesn't go to overtime. There's no extra time.
3 points in the tournament.
3 points overall. So their standings aren't just win-losses. It's about how they win. They get 2 points if they win in overtime or in a shootout, and 1 point in an overtime or shootout loss. 0 points if they lose in regulation. So if they push a game to overtime, they still get 1 point even if they lose.
Yeah, that's nice.
In the NHL, a win is only worth 2 points, and an overtime shootout loss is worth 1 point. A regulation loss is worth 0 points. So that's the difference between the NHL and the PWHL.
All right, understood.
And shootout rules in the PWHL are different than the NHL. The NHL, the shootout is a best of 3 shots.
Mm-hmm.
If no winner is determined, the shootout shifts to sudden death. Next person to score. No players permitted to shoot again until all players in the lineup have taken a shot. In the PWHL, however, the shootout is best of 5. If no winner is determined after those 5 shots, it then turns sudden death, and a player is eligible to shoot again without limitations. So they can have the same player shoot all of their shots if they wanted to.
Kind of cool.
So it's really going to be best on best every time.
It's kind of fun rules.
Yeah.
I wish I knew the hockey's NHL's rules to compare, but I don't. No one ever taught me.
That's a lie.
No one.
It's a lie.
I know about underwater hockey or slappy gong or whatever it was called.
Slappy gong? Was that actually what it was
Slappy
called?
gong. I don't know. The broom one. What was it called?
It was like
Squirrely horse or something like that.
It was jelly. It had to do with jellyfish.
Did it?
Yeah. Fish, puck, jelly.
Has this table always been this high? Did I grow shorter?
I think you're slouching more. I don't know.
See, he doesn't even remember. Some master of balls.
Octopush. That's what it was called. See? I wanted to forget it.
Stupid name.
Where to watch. Very important if you want to watch the PWHL.
Uh-huh.
Its first season was live streamed entirely on its YouTube channel, where the first game peaked at 15,986 concurrent viewers. Having every game available to watch for free was a great way to get people interested in the new league and its teams. So it was that.
Cool. Yeah.
This year, broadcasting rights have stepped in, and the broadcasting rights for the USA have not been announced yet, but the Canadian broadcast schedule has been released.
Uh-huh.
And it's kind of a mess. TSN will have exclusive live coverage of 57 regular season games across linear channels of TSN Plus, TSN.ca, and the TSN app. CBC will have exclusive live coverage of 17 Saturday afternoon games across CBC TV, CBC Gem, and CBCSports.ca.
Okay.
And then Prime Video will have exclusive live coverage of all 16 Tuesday night games. The Montreal Victoire Sorry, I totally forgot. My Canadian French is a little rusty.
He's from real France, not the fake one in Canada.
Their games will also be broadcast in French exclusively on RDS, Radio Canada, ICI Telly, and
ICI Telly.
ICITOU.TV, and Prime Video. 18 games on RDS, 6 on Radio Canada, and 5 on each of the last 3. Coverage of one game is still to be determined.
All right.
And the PWH playoffs will open with coverage of one semifinal series exclusively on TSN and RDS, and one semifinal series exclusively on Prime Video.
All right.
And the finals will be exclusively on TSN and RDS.
Okay.
That's for all the Canadian listeners.
Okay.
Fans in the U.S. are hopeful that games will once again be streamed on YouTube, not chopped up across multiple networks like our friends to the north.
YouTube TV, is it just YouTube or YouTube TV?
It might be both, but I think it's free on their YouTube channel, the PWHL YouTube channel.
Honestly, it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. Not going to lie.
On Reddit, Twitter, and other social platforms, Canadian PWHL fans are lamenting the loss of the YouTube live streams that made it super easy to watch, and wondering how new exclusive broadcasting schedule will impact viewership. You know, it'd be great if they just picked one.
Yeah, but everything needs to be subdivided, and I don't know why. It all comes down to like the individual markets, and everyone
getting the best value too.
Yeah, it's just like, but it all to the detriment of like the fans for everyone trying to get their piece.
No,
but
and it's
the
sad.
future is accessible to everybody. The internet doesn't. People are actively trying to subdivide down the internet, which is just open and accessible to everybody, but people don't want that because everyone's like, if we subdivide, we can make some money on every time we do.
Well, and I think we've talked about this before, the real way that you make money is cutting out the middleman who's going to reap all the benefits of bringing in the ad partners and doing it on your own, where you have it on your own.
But the middleman gets mad, and the middleman's like, well, if we cut out that middleman, then I middleman can do that I middleman things, and you don't have to worry about that, yada, yada, yada.
And I'm going to pay off somebody to screw with your system.
Exactly.
We're going to send fans onto the ice court and melt it with flamethrowers.
We're going to do Chinese hockey, and all 6 teams are going to be there once. We're going to cut it out.
We're going to buy up all the teams like the Saudi prince did for soccer at one point.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, there's a whole like league of like, I think Cristiano Ronaldo got offered an insane amount of money to switch out of that league into their league to play on a team there, like an obscene amount of money.
I mean, if it was a lot of money, if it's worth it to someone, you can't really fault
But
for
then
that.
the fans, man, you got to do stuff for the fans.
You're right. I forgot about the fans.
Gosh.
What the fuck was it?
I don't know.
Gosh, you forgot about the fans.
You forgot about people like me.
All right, okay, all right, man.
So why is the PWHL important? And not to get too inspirational speaker on you.
Get it. Do it.
Look at the athletes. I mean, these women have been playing hockey their entire lives. They've been on the ice. They've been doing a bunch of different things.
Since it popped out the womb.
Since they were birthed in the all-star birthing locker room.
They were in the baby area, with the nursery and the hospital, and they were just all throwing their baby gloves off.
They were born onto the ice.
And they start fighting other babies.
They threw their gloves down and went at it. That's what you're saying. But it's important to the middle school hockey fan who wanted to play herself, but was bullied on a boys' team because her school didn't think a girls' team was worth the resources, was ostracized by the coach because she was a girl and wanted to play the boys because they had a better chance of winning, or maybe they were the ones that had a better chance of getting the scholarships or excelling.
Yeah.
It's for those that train and triumph in their local clubs and amateur leagues that don't get any credit for what they do. All those platitudes aside, the PWHL was needed and necessary to expand the popularity of hockey beyond the male audience, to highlight the skills of incredible players on an international stage, and to provide professional women's hockey players with the opportunity to pursue the sport that they love full time.
Well, that all seems very noble, but we're not answering the real questions here, Tyler. What are the exact dimensions of the hockey rink?
The same as NHL.
What material do I carve my hockey stick out of?
Wood.
What is the puck made of?
Rubber. It's actually ground up tires. We talked about that in the hockey primer.
I don't think we did.
We
There's
did.
no evidence
There's
that was discussed.
100% all
If you
the
go by what
evidence.
the audience said, the entire episode of the hockey primer, we're just hockey, pass joke, dick joke. I think that was all that we had the entire episode, and no one could ever question another. What were you even doing there?
I was sucking both my thumbs.
Oh, I was confused.
I was being like a baby.
I was like, what kind of insult? I've never seen that insult before. I've heard of I bite my thumb at thee, but just like double sucking your thumbs. And, oh.
It didn't taste very good. My hands are clean.
It also didn't come across as that at all. It took me a second because I was like, at first I was like, yeah, that thing. What the fuck did he do? What was it? That was everyone listening to the hockey episode, just like, what are they talking about? Oh man. So anyway.
So the PWHL obviously worked with the players' units before even finding it, and they reached a collective bargaining agreement ensuring a minimum salary of $35,000, increasing by 3% each season, as well as health insurance and housing stipends. If it isn't the $750,000 minimal salary for NHL players, it isn't that, but it's a start.
Yeah.
It's an unfortunate fact that sports leagues and most viewerships are funded by the men's leagues or are contributed and put into the men's leagues. Baseball doesn't even have a women's professional baseball league, which also drives me nuts. I hate the fact that softball became the women's sport.
Yeah.
I think women should have been able to just play baseball.
Well, okay, that I understand that, but also it's like, hey, that is something that opened up because softball is a very different game. It's very similar.
It's very
looking.
Similar. Like the pitching is different and the ball is different.
But, yeah, like I do know it's a different type of game to play, and those softballs, they can crank them fucking fast.
Oh yeah, they can.
So it's like I totally get like, yeah, they could, but also like there is softball clearly is something that I don't think it should be looked down upon. It's like, oh, it's not quite baseball. I'd be like, oh, it's its own thing.
Well, the biggest problem is because softball has slow pitch options that a lot of adult males play. That it then is why I think it gets looked down upon because it's like, oh, it's just you're hitting a bigger ball and blah blah blah.
Yeah, there's also T-ball, and I don't think it degrades the integrity.
Yeah, but T-ball's for like little kids, so I guess that's a little bit of a different.
Even when you're playing with like, you could still throw a baseball slow.
Correct. But I honestly, it just bothered me in the sense of like, I think baseball should be for everybody, and I think fast pitch softball should also develop into a men's game as well. I think there's opportunity on both sides.
True.
I just think the way that they forced women to be fast pitch softball only instead of being able to play baseball is what bothers me.
Yeah, but I mean, it's also a thing where you run into this situation where I'm not saying it shouldn't. I'm not arguing that it shouldn't. I'm just saying like, I think that is one of the few examples where it's like, oh, this is actually a success story.
Right.
With softball being what it is. If it is like a women-only sports, it's still like it's defined enough and it's carved out its own style that it's like, oh, yeah, this is its own thing and it's dominated by women.
But there's not a professional league for it. There's the Olympics and that's about it.
Oh, I thought there was.
Not that I've
never mind then. Okay,
yeah.
I take it all back.
So that's still in lines. That's the problem is there's not a lot of professional leagues for women in the sense of the way there are professional leagues for men sports.
I take it all back.
It works for college. I mean, softball is massive in college. So, but yeah, women's leagues have had to fight to be seen. Female athletes struggle to get paid fairly in comparison because there isn't as much viewership. There isn't as much ads that come in. There's a million other things. I mean, even we talked about how the women's water polo team had to get funding from Flavor Flav to just be able to go to the Olympics. So the more professional women's leagues that are created, funded, broadcast, the more power women's sports become, the more empowered young girls are to be a part of sports and be excited about sports.
Yeah.
And imagine this.
I'm imagining.
Caitlin Clark. She's already stepped onto the golf course and tried her hand at golf.
Yes.
She had her first season in the WNBA, and it was nothing short of historic. And she proved people like to see women stars and star and pull audiences in and packed arenas, huge jumps in viewership. Even her post-basketball season tournament had a massive crowd. Yes! But since she decided already to try golf, imagine Caitlin Clark takes up hockey just once to pull attention to the Women's Hockey League. It gets people to look at that audience because she has that star power. Maybe she'll give it a try. Maybe she'll give that attention to PWHL.
I don't think she would do it because she would worry about getting absolutely clobbered. And
she could be a goalie.
Don't they get clobbered the most?
Not by other people, only by the puck. Less high impact. I mean, Caitlin Clark was basically getting tackled on the WNBA floor anyway. So, I mean,
They basically tackled.
There are a few different instances where it kind of happens.
Come on now, it was really, so I get that, but also it's kind of like I imagine the people in the PWHL would kind of be insulted by that, being like, you coming in here.
I mean, just showing up and talking about it.
Yeah,
the whole premise is it's a joke. In all seriousness, I think people should go check out the PWHL. I find it really exciting. I like the add-on rules, like the jailbreak and different stuff that's different from the NHL. Mm-hmm. And also, it's still incredible hockey. It's still fun to watch. And hopefully, by watching this, audience and us, you can open up more opportunities for women in sport. And so, with the second season of the PWHL just starting, now's the time for you to tune in, choose your favorite team, and support the PWHL and women's sports everywhere.
I agree. Where's the nearest game?
The closest game for us?
Yeah, because the guy funding is in LA. I'm actually
probably north into Canada, because the closest in the US for us is Minnesota. So
it's still far away.
Because all the Canadian teams are all over on the east side with Ottawa, Montreal, and Toronto. That would be the closest, is if we went to a Minnesota Frost game. Maybe we'll get a team in LA.
No, it's so far.
Oh, but it's so far. They're talking about adding 2 teams.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
So
LA would make sense. Yeah. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it doesn't make sense.
I mean, LA has the rink for it. They got the Kings.
They got the rink for it. They got the kink for it.
Kings.
The kink.
Okay. They've got the audience, the broadcasting. It'd be a great place for them to get attention. The Dodgers owners literally own the team here. So why wouldn't they make a team be in LA?
They got the audience.
Anyway, any last remarks? Anything you want to talk about before we wrap up this episode?
No.
All right. Well, make sure and go to the Reddit, reddit.com/r/gmfst. Go check out what is available there, what people are talking about. Add to our news segment with the proper news flair. Accuse us with the proper accuse flair. And if you have appreciation posts or anything like that, we welcome those as well. Anything you want to share, interact with the community over on Discord. You can also support us in a fantastic way at store.gmfst.com. Get yourself some cool merch. Hopefully at this point we've had like a really cool Black Friday sale, but I might have to record that later. Thank you guys so much for watching, listening, and everything else. We'll leave you at that, and I guess that's our sign off.
Okay, he said it all. I don't need to say anything.
You can say stuff.
No, good.
All right. Well, bye.
Bye.